Why are you an Ahmadiyya Muslim?
Why do you believe that Ahmadiyya is the ultimate true religion?
What is your perspective on the Old Testament? So not New Testament, the Old Testament and the Torah.
Well, first of all, I don't like to call it the Old Testament.
Welcome to our channel, where we make it our ambition to respect and learn from our neighbors, to equip the church, and share the message of Jesus until all hear. Thank you for stopping by our channel. Today's video is a recap of our time where we had the privilege of being guests at the 2023 Jalsa Salana Ahmadiyya Muslim Conference. Now, this is an annual conference that takes place all across the world. The one that we attended in Toronto had over 20,000 attendees this past year. We attended with our friend LT, who has a YouTube channel called Backpack Religion. He put together a fantastic educational video on Ahmadiyya Islam. I highly encourage you to check that out. I'll leave a link to it on the screen. Our video serves as an opportunity for you to learn from highly educated Ahmadiyya Muslims themselves who they are, what it is they believe, and why they believe it. I highly encourage you to engage with this community. They're very hospitable and they're always open for conversation. As you'll see, we had some fantastic and engaging conversations with them while we were there. On behalf of Greg and I, we also want to say thank you again to the Ahmadiyya community for their hospitality and having us there as guests, showing us around, and allowing us to record these videos. So thank you again for tuning in. I highly encourage you, if you enjoy our content, please consider subscribing. It helps us a great deal in growth and reaching more people. We hope you enjoy the video. So we got a crew of 4 of us here entering the Jalsa Salana Ahmadiyya Conference. So we've gotten into the, I believe it's the public relations and media room here, where they're going to have, like, if you can see behind me, there's going to be like official press conferences, and I believe that the Ontario Premier was here yesterday, Doug Ford. And so as a YouTube channel, and thanks to our friend Fateh, we were able to get into here, and we're going to get some excellent interviews with people, and looking forward to an interesting day. We're here continuing with some interviews at Jalsa Salana. I have my friend Farhan with me.
Hey, well, it's great to be here at Jalsa Salana 2023, and I'm here with a new friend, Labid.
Why are you an Ahmadiyya Muslim?
Why are you an Ahmadiyya Muslim?
So this is a good question. So there's 2 reasons, or you can break this into 2 parts. So one, I'm born an Ahmadiyya Muslim, so that's like the first inclination that I have towards it.
So Ahmadiyya Muslim, I was born an Ahmadiyya Muslim. I did grow up here in Canada. So growing up, it was pretty much a secular environment, a mix of all.
Otherwise, it would have been obviously difficult with all the religions and all the different sects within each religion. But a step after that, why I believe the Ahmadiyya Muslim belief, that's a separate question, because you'll find a lot of people who claim to be Ahmadiyya Muslims, but they don't really understand their own faith, they don't really practice their own faith. So I am an Ahmadiyya Muslim because I've tested out some of the arguments, I've had interfaith dialogue with various people from different religions, and then I've practiced Ahmadiyya and its teachings, and I've found it to suit my lifestyle. Well, suit myself, meaning it improved my lifestyle, and exactly how the Quran, the Holy Quran, talked about spiritual progression and moral progression, I found that to be completely true. And so this is why I believe in personal experience and logical arguments as well.
By the grace of God, I'm quite grateful that I was able to get a lot of the teachings from the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. It answered much of the questions growing up that I had, and it, to me, substantiates as the calling from God, basically a path that God wishes for mankind to tread for the purpose of attaining self-peace, but also as a societal level peace. So I choose to be an Ahmadiyya Muslim, yeah.
Right. So, and this is something I can appreciate as a Christian, that you want to follow what you believe is true, right?
That's true. That's true.
So that leads to my second question: is why do you believe that Ahmadiyya is the ultimate true religion?
So the reason why I believe that Ahmadiyya is the true Islam and the true religion is because, well, you have to go into like a lot of different arguments here, but I guess the crux, the core of the topic or the answer I would say is there's two parts that I believe are fundamental to humankind, and that's a connection with God and a connection between mankind itself. So connection between man and God and man and man. And I think that's at the core and the crux of every single religion, of every single faith. And I think that the way that the Ahmadiyya Muslim community presents the Islamic teachings of how to establish a living connection with God, because I've heard a lot of people who say God does not hear prayers these days. He does not show miracles in today's day and age. So that cuts out a lot of religions in the aspect of establishing connection with God, right? And then there's the aspect of establishing moral teachings so that you can have a beautiful connection with fellow humans, right? And I feel like the teachings of Islam are also very deep. They go really deep into every single interaction that you could possibly have and how to deal with those interactions to make sure that every individual is a beneficial member of society. So with those two core teachings, a connection with God and connection with man, I feel like the Ahmadiyya perspective, it makes the most sense to me, humbly, in my perspective.
That's a great answer. Thank you, Farhan.
I'm in with my good friend Attaul Wahab Sahab. We've known each other for a few years now, done lots of dialoguing together, talking about the Bible and Quran. And just to begin with, can you share what your role is in the Ahmadiyya community?
Okay, thank you and welcome to you all this our annual convention. My role as Imam is leading prayer services and giving counseling to our youth and our children, educate them about faith and our religion, and also to reach out to other communities and have interfaith dialogues and to spread the message of Islam, which is the message of peace.
Actually, I wanted to follow up on something you said, talking about sharing about Islam. I know from talking to some Sunni Muslim friends that they would take umbrage with even being able to say that Ahmadiyya is Islam. So I'm wondering what would you share or say in response to that, where Sunnis would say, well, this isn't real Islam?
Actually, many Sunnis, they have also got this misunderstanding about us. And mostly what has been going on in Pakistan, because we have been declared as non-Muslim officially by the state. In terms of fundamentals of Islam, there is no difference between us or any other Sunni people. We have the same articles of faith, the same fundamental beliefs. Yes, when it comes to the understanding of these articles of faith and the understanding of Sharia, yes, we have differences, but those differences even are there within different denominations of Sunni Muslims also. Everyone looks at the Sharia from different perspectives, and those differences should not discriminate. Basis on those differences, people should not be discriminated against.
I know that I think the first thing, because it's the first thing I always hear from Sunnis that they bring up, is the Seal of Prophethood. So maybe you could just explain briefly how do Ahmadis understand that, and maybe how that differs from how Sunnis understand it.
Now I want you to answer more of a theological question. And I believe that this question is one of the major tenets of what sort of defines you as the Ahmadiyya community, which sets you apart from the other sects of Islam. So can you explain the concept of the Seal of Prophethood for Muhammad from an Ahmadiyya perspective and how that differs from a Sunni understanding?
Okay, so we believe that Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, peace be on him, is the seal of prophet like all other Sunni Muslims. However, when it comes to the understanding of this concept of sometimes it is referred to as Khatam Nabuwat, so the finality of prophethood, we say that even in this concept, there is no difference between us and them, because the thing is, all Sunni Muslim, mainstream Sunnis, they believe that Jesus is going to come in latter days for the reformation of Muslims and to guide Muslims back to their glorious time.
Right.
And obviously, he would be coming back as a prophet. So their understanding of Khatm Nubuwwat as in the sense that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be on him, is the last prophet, goes against this belief, because for them Jesus is going to come back later. So he is going to be the last one doing prophecy and
So he'll
continue.
be a prophet after Muhammad.
Yes.
That will return in their view.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so I'll try my best to explain with the limited knowledge that I have.
Sure.
But so the first and foremost is that Khatamun Nabiyyin is the term that means seal of the prophets. And so how the non-Ahmadis translate it is, or how they understand it, is that the Holy Prophet, peace and blessing be upon him, he is the ultimate, final, last prophet with respect to time. Meaning there will be no other prophet that could come with a new prophethood after him. And so, but the Ahmadiyya perspective is that a prophet can come, but he would be a subordinate prophet. Meaning he would not bring a new law, he would not bring any new teachings, he would just be propagating the same very message that Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, brought, but at a greater scale. So Holy Prophet brought the teachings, and the next prophet that could come after would be the individual who would propagate those teachings to a global scale. And so that's the major difference with regards to like the references behind it and all of that stuff. Well, the reason why we believe this is because there are prophecies regarding the coming of the Messiah, and in the Ahadith it mentions that 4 times in one hadith, the Holy Prophet, peace and blessing be upon him, mentioned that Messiah, that individual that will come, will be a Nabi. A Nabi means a prophet. And so if you ask like a non-Ahmadi, that you would believe that there would be no prophet after the last prophet. But then Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said that the Messiah that is to come will be a prophet, and he said it 4 times, that he's a Nabi, he's a Nabi, he's a Nabi. And so this is just one tiny proof that we give. Also, I think a major factor here why we believe that another prophet can come after the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is because we believe that Jesus passed away. We believe Jesus, peace be upon him, passed away, and so they believe Jesus is going to come back, right? And so that's not a new prophethood, because he came before the Holy Prophet, peace and blessing upon him. Well, we believe if Jesus passed away, there are prophecies of a Messiah coming. And so that Messiah is Jesus in character, but not in physical form. Meaning he fulfills his mission, his qualities, and all of that. So that's where the difference lies. I think it's just like a technical difference more than, like a huge, like the fuss that people usually make about it. Right. Yeah.
Ahmadiyya teaches that, correct me if I'm wrong, okay, so they belief in Mirza Muhammad as the promised Messiah. He's like end of 1800s, early 1900s, that's right? Yeah. And that he's seen as the fulfillment of the promise of the return of Isa in a spiritual sense, right?
Sure.
And so him being, from that perspective, being considered the promised Messiah, I want to know about his writings, his teachings, and then also he has successors called Caliphate. So their writings, their teachings. So I want to know from an Ahmadiyya perspective, are all of those teachings and those people, when they're teaching, let's say in formal writings, are their teachings infallible? Are they completely true? Infallible meaning they can't err in their teaching. So yeah, if you can help about that, understanding that.
So all humans are infallible. They're prone to infallibility. Yes, fallible. My apologies. They're fallible. They're prone to mistakes. But a prophet comes with a mission, and anything he once it is substantiated that he is from God, and the mission and the information he is bringing, it is from God, and once that is established, then that information itself is something we take wholeheartedly. Okay. We stick to it, just like, for example, I guess Christianity in its roots. It's very hard to extract exactly what that was, but the message we do believe in the Holy Quran, it makes it very clear that Jesus came with the message for the Jewish people, and that message was to be taken as a form of guide. As even in the Bible it says that you cannot reach salvation, you cannot reach true guidance and ultimately heaven except through Jesus Christ, i.e. through that message he is bringing. It is basically a mercy from God that is here to basically help you know what is right from wrong. And once you recognize that, to act upon this is of great and utmost importance. So the promised Messiah Islam, being a prophet, being somebody who came with that mission and brought many teachings that he is of that, his teachings, we do take it as such. The Khulafa after him are successors. They carry on those teachings. And of course, when it's not a religious topic, any number of topics, a human is a human, but they have discourse.
So like in Roman Catholicism, there's a doctrine called the infallibility of the papacy. So the Pope is considered infallible. Whenever he is teaching, there's a Latin term called ex cathedra, which is like from the seat. It's the official position. Whenever he is teaching in some official way, and it's also very ambiguous, so you can never really nail down. There's almost nothing that's officially that, but the idea is anytime he's officially teaching on doctrine or theology and morals. So is it similar in Ahmadiyya?
It's similar in the sense that we take the teachings and any instructions that come from our Khalifa at the current, the successor, to be absolutely something that we need to act upon. That it is something that we take wholeheartedly as being very well. Basically something that we do take as an authoritative figure who we act upon. Just like, for example, if we were to go back, because of course we understand the concept, and you use the example of the Catholic Church, and we understand that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. That is a secular understanding, it exists. But when it comes to somebody who's a prophet, such as if I was to posit the example of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam or even Jesus Christ, those who were around him followed him wholeheartedly. Any instruction he gives, they have completely basically agreed that this is somebody who is our guide in the fullest of sense. And so if he instructs us to go in any direction, we truly will. If he instructs us on a teaching, we will take it wholeheartedly. And this is something that we have taken as on faith to be the complete truth.
What is your perspective on the Old Testament? So not New Testament, the Old Testament and the Torah.
Well, first of all, I don't like to call it the Old Testament. I
Sure.
like to call it the
Tanakh,
Hebrew,
the Old
the
Testament,
Hebrew
the Hebrew Bible. Sure, yeah.
Right? Because because when you say Old Testament, you're already speaking from a Christian theological perspective.
Sure, yeah, that's fine.
So it's the Hebrew Bible.
Yeah.
And I believe that the Hebrew Bible still has, for instance, a number of teachings that are coming from God. For instance, Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 4, the first commandment, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our
The
God
Shema,
is one.
yeah.
Right? The Shema, right? That, I believe, is very similar to the kalima in Islam, which is La ilaha illallah. There's none worthy of worship except God. So I believe those teachings are definitely coming from God. So wherever the Quran affirms teachings that are part of the Bible, I accept those teachings.
Okay. Well, thank you so much
you.
for your time.
Thank you.
It's really great to meet you.
Yes.
Okay.
It was a wonderful conversation.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Take care. God bless.
No.
Okay, one last question is, often Christians and Muslims, when they interact, I find focus, when we get into, discussions about differences, we want to go after truth, we get into debates, etc., which I think is all helpful if it's done proper way. The focus ends up being typically, when talking about the Christian side, talking about New Testament. I'm curious, what is your perception as a Muslim about the Old Testament or the Torah? And how do you see it generally? And do you believe it's been corrupted in any specific way?
Yeah, we in Islam, we believe that both the Old Testament and the New Testament have been corrupted, have been changed. that they don't hold true to the original message that might have been there and for however long it was preserved for. We don't believe that a lot of human hands have changed it. We believe that one of the main reasons the Holy Quran was sent by God is because the previous scriptures have been corrupted, or at least the message, a very significant, or to God what is significant, chunk of it has been basically lost. And it's leading people towards misguidance. So the Holy Quran is sent to just basically revive that and call it.
Can you think of anything specifically?
In the Old Testament or the New Testament?
Old Testament.
In the Old Testament, anything specifically? No, it's very hard to point out specifics, but we know that, for example, the Holy Quran alludes towards, if I can, like, for example, the kosher rules, the strictness of them. So God does describe that they've been led into more extreme positions and these kind of positions.
The Jews, you mean?
Yeah, the Jewish community.
So it's interesting because kosher technically is not biblical dietary code, right? It's rabbinical, and the rabbis added all sorts of extra rules about it that doesn't really align, I would argue, with what the text of the Mosaic Law Code actually says about it, and on many issues, not just dietary. So that's interesting. So would you have an idea when you believe that the Torah was changed?
The Torah, when exactly? No, that would be. It's very difficult. It's very hard to extract exactly. And I wasn't there when these changes were made, but we recognize that in the Torah, it doesn't. For example, Moses came with, for example, when we see the 10 Commandments, they seem for the most part very in line with the Islamic fundamental teachings. But then there are a lot of positions that one can extrapolate from different areas. And the whole collection, if you really look at the history of how the Torah has been, for example, the history of the Torah, if we just look at it in a more general form rather than exact points of when it was changed. Nebuchadnezzar, a king from Persia once, I think, he came, and when he ethnically cleansed essentially Jerusalem, took 10 tribes to the east, whose descendants are still there in the eastern lands. Of course, they're not necessarily Israelites or Jewish people anymore. They've changed, but took them in the east. But he also, I think, he cleansed. He basically, the Torah was lost in a significant form. It was lost. For example, the prophet Ezra, as I'm sure you're familiar with, when he came, he prayed to God essentially that for the revival to have the Torah brought back, in a sense, how much ever it was lost, to know the exact nature of what was lost.
Do you know what source that comes from?
The story of Prophet Ezra?
Yes, because it doesn't come from the Bible.
I'm not a great expert on all the details.
So the story you just gave is not biblical at all?
Of the Prophet Ezra?
No, it's not historical. So
It's not to do with the Old Testament at all.
Well, the story of Nebuchadnezzar destroying the Torah scrolls and Ezra praying for it, yeah, that's not anywhere in the Bible or in any source. No, not a historical.
At all.
No, so
it's not substantiated history.
So I would say it'd be good for you to look it up more, where it comes from. I think it probably, I'd have to check, but it probably comes from Ibn Kathir. It's not, which doesn't come from biblical sources or really historically reliable sources on that information. I am curious, so then, did Jesus have a copy of the Torah, according to the Quran?
He must have had...
Because Surah Al-Ma'idah says he had it, he confirmed it. The Injil that he had confirmed it, right?
Musaddiqul, that he came to basically revive essentially what the Messianic figure was meant to do. That whatever was lost, Jesus Christ also came to help bring the Jewish people back to teachings that they had in some form lost. So that, once again, to know the exact nature of what was lost, what was he bringing
It's
back.
interesting because when I read it, there's nothing about loss of it that's in that, like Surah Al-Ma'idah. I guess in your version it would be 44 to 49. It's, Muhammad says, Allah addresses Muhammad saying, why did they come to you? Why did the Jews come to you when they had the Torah already? Right? When they don't judge by what they have, essentially. So,
could you repeat that? This is from
Surah Al-Ma'idah, ayah 44. Okay, so essentially, Allah is addressing Muhammad. Why did the Jews come to you for judgment when they already have the Torah, and they should judge by it, right? So, my reading of it seems to be like, okay, well, they have it as a reliable source of judgment, so they don't need to come to you. So them coming to you is really they're ignoring what's in the text that they have. They're not following it, right? So to me, when I read repeatedly in the Quran, it seems to me, other than let's say Surah 2 verse 80, and yours in Sunni versions be 79, ayah 79. It says, and they wrote the book with their own hands, saying it's from Allah, right? So other than that verse, which is writing, all the other passages seem to me to be about misinterpretation or misrepresenting what's in the text.
So the thing about how we're engaging at this point is that we're mentioning different quotes, but because we don't have them immediately, and then you have to look into the context. Because, for example, even the one that you mentioned in my that where would mention, why do they not use their source?
Yeah.
The context most likely is that why do they not basically act upon their own book according to what they themselves believe in? It's a sincerity and genuineness to what you say you are. Right? It's what it's alluding towards. But of course, we need these things in front of us.
For sure, we could have a more in-depth conversation. I wanted to mainly get into your general perception of it. So thank you so much for the conversation today and your time.
Thank you, Greg, for doing this, and hopefully this is very positive. This is very good for your viewership and your congregation. Hopefully they tune in, and hopefully this is good. Yes.
All right.
I just wanted to express personal gratitude to the mayor here. He's been our personal chaperone around the Jalsa Salana conference. It's a massive property, so many places to go. He showed us everywhere, took us to food, got us where we needed to go, and it's just been with us all the way. So, Mayor, thank you so much. My pleasure. It was very helpful, and like the volunteer work that has gone into this conference, as he was explaining to me, is pretty amazing. So we just wanted to make sure that you were recognized, okay?
No, I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. Please share this video if you found this helpful, and remember to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you want to see more like it. Until next time, keep learning, keep loving, and keep sharing until all here.